Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video. Here in the aquaponics system of a bluegill, you see a little bit of the greenhouse there, and now we're going underwater. In this video, I'm going to add gravel to the bed of this small pond or tank. And the interesting thing here in this footage is how immediately the change in the behavior of the fish. Sorry about this shot here. I'm still setting up the camera and getting that ready to go. That's a PVC liner there on the bottom. And but it's just fascinating, the change in the fish's behavior of these bluegill and red ear. I just about have it set up there. I'm just getting the camera situated at this point and trying to get the best angle for you guys. And but you'll see now the water is clear, and you know, the fish are there. That's a red ear, I believe. But here in a moment, I'm going to introduce gravel, a gravel bed here. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing the behavior change in the fish. So there I've taken the top off. You know, I have those foam panels that I put on the top usually to reduce algae and reduce evaporation. Now here I'm just about to pour in the gravel, and so this is going to make it even more of a natural habitat for the bluegill and red ear sunfish. And of course, I've rinsed it. Anytime you're going to add gravel to an aquarium or a tank, whatever it is, a pond, you do want to rinse it multiple times, and I did do that. I did rinse it and rinse it quite a few times. I probably went through 20 gallons of water in just rinsing, maybe more, maybe like 30 gallons of water. And what I do is I just have it in a 5-gallon bucket, and then I run water in there, stir it up, agitate it like a half bucket at a time, and then pour off the cloudy water that you see, just to rinse that gravel as much as you can. And I did do that, but it still obviously had some dust in it. And some of this too is dirt that was settled on the bottom of the tank. So you see the filter system, as the filter system continues to work, you're going to see over the next few minutes how, so they're just coming right out there. They're just coming right out. As soon as I was out of there, the gravel was laid, they started coming out. And to me, it's kind of a new territory in their environment, new structure, so they're immediately trying to establish territory. But you'll see here in over the next moments or minutes, 10, 15 minutes, how that filter system starts to clear up the water. That's a red ear right in front. And how that sediment just settles out and becomes clearer. But they're immediately coming, they're checking out this. And what I put it in there to do was to establish a bed. So just like if you go out to a pond and you're fishing for sunfish, bluegill, you'll see they make their colonies in those beds, those nests. And so on the bottom of this tank, it was just the pond liner. And I thought I would add gravel on the bed to see if that encouraged them to begin building nests, building pits, and breeding. So I'm definitely seeing some interesting behavior here. Bluegill and red ear are from the cichlid family, the same as you would see the cichlids in a pet store. And the larger, aggressive fish, African cichlids, South American cichlids, Central American cichlids. And these are North American cichlids. And so they're territorial, they're aggressive, they establish territory. But with this new bed here, they're all kind of looking at it like where they're going to settle in, what part's going to be this fish, what part's going to be that fish, how they're going to establish their dominance. And so you see some interesting behavior there. The one to the left is a red ear. You see it kind of has that more checkered pattern. The one to the right is a bluegill. And they might both be vying for an area right there in front of the camera to establish. Now you're just seeing it start, some of that sediment starting to slightly clear out. You're being able to see some of the plants and the light. The filter's working. The sediment is starting to settle out. Still going to take a little while. Pretty cool footage here. It almost looks like a creek bed somewhere or the bottom of a pond, because usually that water is a little more cloudy than you would have in a home aquarium or home tank aquaponics system or aquaculture system. So with the little cloudiness in the water, it almost looks like I'm filming in the bottom of a pond, actually, out in the wild. But this is in my backyard. This is that 250-gallon small pond tank, like I've mentioned in the other videos. That's a bluegill to the right. You see now they're getting a little aggressive here. So when they get aggressive or communicating with each other, you see they do that they kind of swerve their body, or they'll kind of they do something with their body. Some people call it like dance or courtship, where they kind of like wave their body, their whole kind of like spine. They'll kind of like jiggle or put it in a certain, they kind of bend their spine, they kind of bend their body, their spine back and forth. Sometimes a male is doing that to encourage a female to breed, but sometimes they'll do that same kind of moving your spine, whipping your body, kind of contorting. Two males will do that as expressing their aggression to each other, to kind of intimidate the other one. So they're definitely all interested in the gravel bed. I mean, at this point, I think it was a very good decision. I think they're feeling more at home, more at ease, more in their natural state. But now that has given another focal point for them to all kind of reestablish their order of dominance. Starting to clear up a little better right there. Now that's that, where they go face to face, kind of whip their body. How he's whipping, there you go. That's where he was really whipping his tail back and forth. Again, that one over there that keeps going back and forth on the right is a bluegill. And he's going back and forth up and down that gravel bed, kind of whipping his tail. I'm pretty sure saying this is my area. Starting to clear up just slightly better. That's actually a bluegill to the left. I'm pretty sure that's a male. Yeah, that's well, it's a bluegill right there. I'm trying to tell by the ear flap. And you see the one over on the right has that dot on his upper dorsal fin. Oh, they're really going after it. You got 3 of them there. They're all wanting to claim a piece of this gravel bed. I still have the planters in the back in case you're new to this channel, and there are big plastic black flower pots in the back behind those plants. Those plants are artificial, and that gives the sunfish structure to hide in, so they're not constantly having to interact with each other and establish their dominance and territorial behavior, but they can kind of take a break and go hide out in those planters. Wow, we're getting a lot of interaction here. I'm pretty sure those 2 are red ear. That one more in the back is a red ear. That one's a red ear right there in the middle. I think that one to the left that keeps coming up that's a bluegill too. When I first set this up and had it going for the first couple months, I wasn't sure if it was going to, how the fish were going to do and get established. I clean out the tank every once in a while, just take everything off and take the structure out just to check and see the population, how they're doing. And they hide out really well because I thought I only had about 2 fish in there. And I was just about to kind of start over, but I decided to drop this camera in there. Now it's starting to get a little more clear, like every couple minutes. That the settling out of the sediment and the filter continues to clear up the water. In the beginning, you saw it was like a swimming pool. It was like just a clean river. And that's what it'll get back to. But once I put this camera in and I could see them in their natural state, I added the covers, like I was saying, the foam paneling, insulation paneling on top, and give them kind of like the over their heads, kind of be like structure. Wow. Yeah, so that red ear and that bluegill in the lower right are really, on the lower left, are really they're really getting into it. But yeah, all these guys came out of the woodwork, and I've got pretty much everything that I started with. I don't want to overpopulate this tank, Like I said, when it's full, it's about 250 gallons. Wow. And so I've got maybe 6 to 8 fish in here. So that's nowhere near being overpopulated. These guys are about, at this point, they're, I'm gonna say, 5 to 6 inch fish. 4 to 6. There might be smaller ones that are closer to 4.5, 4 inch. And but they all came out, and I see what I have now. So yeah, I don't want to add too much more. Wow, that's cool. It's a nice shot. Look at that. That's amazing. Now you can start to see that gravel bed a little more clear in the plants. So yeah, it's sufficient tank size for them, and a lot of times in the aquaponics system, they'll just get a tank full of males. Wow. Full of males, because they grow quicker, bigger, faster, and they don't have to deal with the territorial behavior that we're seeing right here of breeding males and females, less aggression in the tank. That was a cicada bug that I threw in. One of those little cicadas. I was interested to see how they would react with that. It's a lot bigger than a cricket. The cricket, they usually just eat that, it's gone. But this cicada is bigger, so they kind of have to tear it apart. But you can see obviously how much they like live insects. That one in the back's looking at it. It's floating on the surface. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, and so what they do in a lot of aquaponics systems, like I said, they'll overpopulate the tank. Well, I mean, technically, I guess scientifically, for the amount of waste and the amount of gallons of water and the type of filtration system, gallons per minute, the type of, the quantity of plants that you have absorbing those waste nutrients out of the water, you can come up with some calculations where you can densely populate a tank. Wow. And I think those are two male, that's hard to say. And so, yeah, that's how they do that crowding in those tanks for aquaponic systems, where they're raising the fish, obviously, for protein source. And so they'll put all males, they'll put them in there real packed in, because the idea is how many pounds of protein they can get out of that system, how quickly. And they'll oxygenate it with a lot of extra oxygen, aeration, filtration, the plants themselves, because they're trying to produce plants and fish protein. This system obviously is nowhere near that right now in terms of the density. I've got, like I said, 250 gallons, 6 to 8 fish. I'm gonna call it 6 for now. I think some of the smaller, there were some smaller bluegills in here that either they are hiding out really all the time, which would be smart of them, or they've gotten eaten. Because they will, you know, this aggression goes on. The aggression get to a point where a fish gets stressed out and dies, or actually gets attacked and just outright eaten. Fish do that, even in their own species. So I might just have 6 of the original, or I might have 8 if there's 2 real small, maybe 3-inch bluegills hiding out somewhere in the bottom in the back. Clarity of the water continues to improve. They're all out. Like I said, it's like first come, first serve. We just put the gravel bed. This is a new environment. This is a new structure. And so everyone is immediately trying to claim a piece. I've seen them sometimes get real dark and change their, coloration. That's another form of communication and indication of their condition, their temperament. I've had them sometimes, when I was making the transition, initially I had them in indoor aquariums so I could monitor them more carefully. Add some of that sea salt into the water, like I was explaining in another video, just to, as a preventative, natural treatment. Helps them get rid of any parasites, or skin conditions heal up quicker if you have a little bit of natural sea salt in the water. And so I was able to monitor them real close before I introduced them to this outdoor pond. Looks like they're calming down now. They've all had a chance to come out and see the gravel bed, kind of claim their desired area, or they're getting tired out. So yeah, if I want to continue to keep it more of a natural setup, more mimicking nature as much as possible, then I would not introduce more fish and overpopulate it. I was thinking originally just to have like what is typical in an aquaponics system, just males out here, densely populated, and then in my tanks inside, larger tanks, like a 55-gallon tank, maybe a 100-gallon tank, to have a breeding colony, one male and maybe do 3 or 4 females, and have that reproduction going on the inside, and then put them out here and as a grow out tank. That's another term you'll hear with fish breeders, a grow out tank, where after the fish are bred and they're like fry, those are the small fish. Here you're getting some pretty cool footage here of everyone seems to be coming out now. Maybe it looks like the sun is shining a little brighter. Wow, this really looks like just almost the bottom, like I said, of a pond out in nature. There's a red ear, male red ear. You saw the red on the red lining of his ear flap. But that was my original design, and so then I made the transition just to put everybody out here. So I do now. I have the male, the mix of male and females. I've got, they're not densely populated. There's something about when they get so densely populated, and it's all males, that they'll actually it reduces stress and aggression, because there's just not enough space to really, claim territories. And so, but if I keep it sparsely populated as I do now with males and females, then that does give them enough space in here to establish territories and breeding pits, and so I'm going to have to be dealing with that. It would be cool if they did breed, and I think the setup that I have inside in the, aquariums, it's just not enough space, and they don't feel quite as comfortable to just be acting as they do in nature in the wild. So this is definitely feels more like home to them. Seems like they're all pretty happy and excited about the introduction of gravel. So, I mean, at this point, if you have a similar type system and you just have a pond liner, or just a tank, a lot of people that do aquaponics system, they just have a big, massive, cylindrical tank. And, but if you're at all trying to encourage them to breed or provide an environment that is more natural, comfortable to them, introducing gravel right here is, as you can see, it's probably going to make your fish population more healthy, just because they're feel more comfortable. There's a little interaction there. Yeah, I guess we don't really normally associate like emotions with fish, but they definitely have, like I said, their coloration changes in their mood. So they do have moods. They can change. They can get stressed out. They can feel more in a condition or a state to breed, and you'll see all their colors, pop out and become more intense. Their markings, the reds, the oranges in their body, when they're trying to encourage their mate to breed. So I don't know if it's emotions, but they definitely do have feelings, intentions, and you can see it in how they swim. I mean, but just the introduction of this gravel environment seems, I don't know if you would say they're happier, but they sure do seem like it. I guess that one big male bluegill right in the middle. Looks like he's kind of establishing himself as the king of the hill on this gravel bed. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoy it, give me a subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be coming out with more videos just like this, and also ones that show more detail of the greenhouse, like I keep saying, but I haven't come out with it yet. That's gonna happen. I'm gonna make that one. I've got